All right, man. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a Sunday edition of Lambdas Live podcast, episode 42. 42. I'm your host, Dr. Nan, with my co-host, Fernando. What's going on, Fernando?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Doing good, man. It's been a while since we've been on, right? And
A long
it's
time. I don't even remember the last time, actually.
Yeah, last time we had a show, we had Dr. Harnour on talking about physical therapy, and I think you were out on break that weekend. So for you, it's
Mhm.
been a hot minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. But yeah, I'm glad to be back. We apologize for taking a longer break than anticipated. I'm been busy in the behind the scenes working on some other projects. I recently released a choke book. That was one project that we finally went live and is available on Amazon. So it's doing well. So that was one. The school, we have two schools opening up, one in Maryland, one in New Jersey. So that's been taking a lot of our time. And then, just family matters, right?
Yep.
We're expecting a new baby.
Yep. April
Congratulations.
20th.
That's
Hmm.
what's up. So we got a
Oh, a
lot
month
going
away.
on.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, right. We got a lot going on, but we still wanted to keep up with our routine and put one on for everybody. So today we were going to talk a little bit about what's going on in the MMA world. But before we begin, let's catch up on your training, man. How's it been? How's your training? What are you working on? Any questions you got? And let's kick it off
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah. Well, only was able to get one training this week. I kind of like in the past couple weeks, kind of like lagged with the training. I was dealing with like a finger injury and a lot of other stuff. You know how I am about my hands and stuff like that. So I kind of like, oh, let me just rest until.
Hand modeling. You
Yeah,
got to
yeah,
get to
yeah,
that
yeah.
hand modeling.
Like, so I kind of like laid low for a bit, and then also too, kind of got busy with work too as well. So just trying to get that stuff situated, and so the training kind of like fell to the back burner. But now that I've kind of getting my head above water, I should say, like in injuries as well, that's healing up. I should be able to get back into it. We was working on Jay's series, the posture break pass, so I was able to, talk to him one on one right before our class. He told me some details that, I had kind of been missing out on,
Mhm.
like like when you're trying to like break like the opponent's closed guard. For some reason I thought I had to like press down on their like hips instead of like putting my hands on their floating ribs and like towards their like basically pushing towards your head and stuff like that. So it's like small details like that. They kind of work. That like I was able to like break like the guards more easily, because before I was
Nice.
like doing like a standing one. Because, well, I mean, as I'm sorry, I apologize if I'm going on like a ramble
No,
or
it's all
whatever,
good.
but like my knees are like impacted. So
Right.
like my least favorite position is being in somebody's closed guard, because I cannot sit on the on my heels. So my posture's already like, broken,
Compromise.
things
Yeah.
like that. So um those small nuggets that, the choke book definitely helped out, like writing that stuff down afterwards, going over what he said, and it helped me with my memory retention. So I thank you for that book, actually. And anybody who is on this journey as well, yeah, I definitely recommend. And it's not a plug, it's not a shameless plug, but it is true. It like helped me, to retain some of that information that I learned yesterday. So I appreciate that.
Awesome, man. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about the joke book later on because there was actually um Miguel who had asked about what's inside. So I'll ask you about that, but later on, before we end, we'll talk about that.
Hmm.
But it's interesting you're talking about breaking the posture and breaking the closed guard because we're actually working on that ourselves this month here.
Oh, awesome.
We were working off our back in the closed guard, seeing what's available, but now we're kind of flipping it and seeing the other side, breaking the closed guard. And in the closed guard is probably one of the most difficult positions that you could be in. It's one of the most vulnerable positions that you could be in, aside from being in a poor position or a compromised
Mine.
position like side control mount, have your back taken. But being in someone's closed guard is very difficult because if the guy has a really strong closed guard, it's hard to break. Especially he's very active. If he has very strong thighs, very strong core, So he's breaking your posture down. So it's really good to focus on those key details that'll help you maintain your posture and start working to break out of it, and then obviously transitioning into a guard pass and then into a dominant position. So we've been working on that ourselves, and just like Jay was talking about, maintaining that proper posture. We actually grab the hips, like the pants right by where the hips are. I think you guys are doing more of a no-gi, so you have to push on the hips because like in the no-gi you can't grab
you're
anything.
Right. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is no-gi this week. Yeah, you're right. Yep.
Yeah. So with the no-gi, I think it's better to kind of push on the floating ribs so the person prevents you prevent the person from getting up. With the gi, you're pushing down on the hips, and I like to really push down on the hips with the elbows down. So as I move into that tripod close guard break, he doesn't follow me with his hip movement, and then I just keep his hips pinned, and obviously slide back, kind of hunch back, open up that guard, and then we were working on the split guard pass where you kind of bring your knee right up the middle and start cutting. So, but yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, man, we were working on that, and we've been pretty active here in the garage. Since after January with COVID and stuff. February we've been hitting it very hard. Same thing with March now. Kind of like midway, but it's been really good. This last was a Friday. We did 16 rounds, man. We're here about an hour and a half just going at it. Yeah. We did some technique, but after that, I was just wanted to get in it because Thursday I didn't get to train because we had a family engagement. So it was like I had withdrawal. I needed to train. So Friday I was like, let's just get in the mat, get on the mat, and just go at it. So it was a fun class. But yeah, man, it's been good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Steve, I think you surpassed me. Actually, we were talking off screen in the like 200 class challenge. I had a lead, and now all of a sudden I'm like,
where are you at right now?
I want to say probably like 18.
18. I think I just said I was 25.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So.
Yeah. We got 25 classes in, I think.
Yeah, that sucks, man. 18 is March 20th already, man. I got some catching up to do.
It's a little easier for me, man, because I just come downstairs and open up the garage and boom, people are here. But yeah, man, whenever you can, get it in. Same goes for everybody else. Whenever you get it in.
Yeah.
So today we wanted to go talk a little bit about what's going on in the MMA world since we haven't been on the show for a couple weeks. A lot's been going on. Obviously, there's 2 UFC fight nights that we could talk about. Last night's in London, and then the previous last week, which I believe it was in Vegas, right? It was in Vegas, and then obviously we have Kamaru Usman versus versus the McGregor talk, right? That's been pretty hot, and then also him versus Canelo, right? Going into boxing and fighting that. We want to get your opinion on that. The third thing we'd want to talk about is Gordon Ryan and the Ryan Hall back and forth, right after Gary Tonin lost to Lee, right? Was it Lee?
Yeah, Thong Lee, I think it's
Thong Lee, right?
Yeah.
And then we talk a little bit about Kane, what's going on with him. So that's a lot of what's been going on. I guess the hot topics that have been going on in the MMA world. So we'll pick your brain. So let's start off with UFC Fight Night. Let's talk a little bit about last week's events, right? And we had the headliner was Thiago Santos versus
Ankalaev,
Ankalaev, right? Magomed Ankalaev. And before we get to that fight, the card was decent. I watched it. It was decent. The ones that I want to ask you about, get your opinion is, so Alex Pereira, who is known for knocking out Israel Adesanya, and that's the kind of the hype that's been going on with this guy and bringing him into the UFC. And some people have suggested that he might be the one to dethrone the current champ. I wanted to get your opinion on what did you think about that fight that he had with Bruno Silva?
Well, one, both guys are tough. I mean, especially Bruno Silva took some like really big shots and was able to survive some of those. What impressed me the most about Pereira is his takedown defense. I thought that, if you take him to the ground, he might be like a fish out of water. But, like he's been training with Glover Teixeira, up in Connecticut. So I guess that's really helped a lot. I still want to see more. Like I know like Bruno Silva, I want to see him progress up the ladder. I don't think right now, a title shot should be in line. I mean, he did get a good call out, with calling out Jared Cannonier. I think that's kind
Yeah.
of interesting because like throws like a little monkey wrench in it, like Chael Sonnen said, because Israel Adesanya could just fall back and be like, you know what, why don't you two battle it out and then I'll fight the winner of that. So I would like to, that's a
Right
good
now,
call out.
right now, isn't Cannonier scheduled to fight Adesanya for the belt next?
Supposed to, but I don't even think that they've signed any contract, or they might have, but they haven't announced when that fight has happened. If if it happened, YouTube or StreamYard, please let me know. Like any of our whoever's listening, please, I appreciate that. But to my knowledge, I don't even think that a fight announcement has been made.
Gotcha. Yeah, I saw the fight, and obviously I watched his first fight, his second fight. I thought that I wasn't as impressed with Pereira. He went the distance. I thought that if he as he's built as they're building up all this hype behind him being the guy who knocked out Adesanya, um, I thought he would have been who would have taken out Bruno Silva out of there, right? He would have just completely KO'd. I was very surprised by Silva's resiliency. And obviously, and he gave back some shots, like Pereira, like he took some shots, which I think exposed maybe some holes he has. Kickboxing and MMA are two different sports, right? You have to worry about the clinch. You have to worry about that dirty boxing against the fence, the takedowns, and so there's a lot more tools that you can use in an MMA fight. Obviously, kickboxing is one of them, but there's so many other things. And I think that Pereira still has a lot more to work on. We don't know how he's going to be on his back. But then again, Adesanya is really not known for being a grappler. And even in his last fights, when he's been on his back, not really working off his back, mostly just kind of doing what he had to do to get back up. But yeah, I think that he's still. I don't think he's even a contender. I don't think he would even be a contender at all. I think he definitely needs maybe 2-3 more fights, at least 2 fights that he's making a big statement on, right? So yeah, I mean, I thought that was I think that's kind of where he stands right now. It's interesting that a lot of these guys are joining with Glover Teixeira, right? There's a lot of fighters now in that camp, and that's interesting. That the champ, he's making big moves as a coach now too. So it's awesome.
What do you think about Pereira versus Derek Brunson, a wrestler? Now, see, it kind of scares me because I think it'll be good, like as the grappler, but I feel like he'll knock Derek Brunson out.
Yeah, I think that's the danger. But if Brunson can close the distance and take him down, I'd be interested to see how he would do off on his back or trying to scramble back up, and with all that pressure, because Brunson is a really good wrestler, right? I think that would be an interesting fight to watch for sure. But we'll see. But he did get knocked out last last fight with Cannonier. Yeah, but he was still doing decent against him up until that moment where he gassed himself out and got knocked out. But what was the fight before that? Who did Brunson fight the fight before? Do you remember? Let's try to see if I can find it.
It wasn't Shabazian, right? No, it wasn't Shabazian because he was a heavy underdog in that one. Darren Till. I think it was Darren Till.
Was it Darren?
I believe so.
Well, there was a fight that he had recently where he dominated on the ground and ended up winning the fight. I'm looking it up right now. No, Kevin Holland. That's the one I'm thinking about.
Oh, yes.
Kevin Holland fight. And he just kept on taking him down and just, ended up winning. He won the decision, but he kept on he out wrestled him and just kept him down. I mean, if he could do that to Pereira, I mean, it's his night.
What would his gas tank be after getting on the ground for like 5 minutes, or like trying to like defend and trying to get up and scramble.
Right, that's a different
His
fight.
power might not be there. Yeah, so
Exactly. Right.
interesting.
So that'd be cool. But yeah, definitely Pereira needs a couple more fights before he's even considered in the talk with Adesanya. But do you think Adesanya is nervous? I mean, you got all these people hyping it up in the background. Do you think he's nervous?
Well, I mean, you always have that in the back of your mind, that the guy did knock you out. I kind of believe that he has 2 wins over Adesanya.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
yeah,
That's a whole different world.
but then that was years ago. Like Adesanya has like there's totally different fighters. In my opinion, like what Adesanya was 6, 7, 8 years ago he's not the same person he is now.
Yeah.
But it'll always be in the back of your mind. And maybe it might be one of those. Well, I mean, he's a great counter puncher, but maybe he might be hesitant to do something because he might get caught. So it might be, the hype might be fun, like the build up, but the fight itself, as we saw with like Covington and Masvidal, it'll probably be like one of those things where the other person doesn't want to take as much risk because they want to win.
So I'm looking it up now, and you're right. He does have 2 wins over Adesanya, one in 2016 by decision and one in 2017 with the KO. So yeah, he's 2-0. So yeah, maybe on the back of his mind, he's a bit nervous, but obviously he's a champ for a reason. It would be an interesting fight if he can stay on top and see that happen. The rubber. Well, it's not even going for I don't know, man. I would it's like you said, it's a different sport, right? Who knows what would happen at that time? But that's interesting. All right, so we got that one out the way, and the next one that I wanted to ask you about, which was a crazy fight, I thought was the Khalil Roundtree versus Carl Roberson.
Yeah,
Did you remember that one?
Yep,
Bro, he came out
him like
in that second round. He came out like dude was on something, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like the resurgence of Khalil Roundtree, because I believe like a year ago he was talking about retiring,
right?
Or maybe like 2 years ago from and now he's, I believe, on a 2-fight winning streak.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken, because the last time he fought, like he with that oblique kick, like basically tore his opponent's knee apart, and then this one. So yeah, I'm curious to see where he goes with it. He's I think like an inspiration, because of like all the adversity he's gone through in his life, and then also how he was overweight, like 300 plus pounds, and now look at him like shredded. Like his abs have abs, so
yeah. But it's funny because when he did his interview, you don't expect him to talk like that. It's kind of like Mike Tyson, right? You expect like this beast voice to come out, and then he's like the nicest, most sweetest dude that you hear. It's funny. It's like, but that fight was crazy. It's like that first round. I don't know. Roberson was doing decent like that. I think he took that round. I mean, it was close, but I think he kind of took it, stole that round, and then I don't know. Maybe his corner told him, "Dude, you lost that round." He came out fire, bro, and tore him up. And it wasn't like a technical finish, right? It literally looked like a street brawl where he wasn't there. It was just like on autopilot, and he just started swinging brutally and took him out. Man, that was crazy how he ended that fight. But that was impressive. I was really impressed because I've seen Roundtree since the
Ultimate
when
Fighter,
he was on the Ultimate Fighter, right? And he was good, but he still had a lot of holes. So he's been obviously in the game for quite a while now.
And he's moved to Thailand, right? He's like strictly out there, right? Like
interesting. I didn't know that. No. Wow. So yeah, because he fought in the final, I think, of the Ultimate Fighter in 2016.
Wow, already?
2016, man. Wow. Yeah. So he's been putting in that work. Obviously, he's had his ups and downs in the UFC, but he's on a 2-fight win streak, like you said, two TKOs. So that's pretty impressive, right? So I'm interested to see what's next for the guy. And obviously he's winning fans, right? With
yeah, and it was Andrew Sanchez, right, that he fought in that
yeah,
Ultimate Fighter,
yeah,
and he's
yeah.
no longer in the UFC. Like,
It's interesting, right?
yeah,
So yeah, I'm glad to see where he's coming from. You know, he's obviously doing something right. You know, hopefully, I don't see him maybe as a top contender
no,
or champion, but he's definitely, I think he's definitely somebody who could lead the main event on a prelim card, right?
mhm.
Um, you know, but or even be one of the pay per view, like on the main event card. But definitely, I don't know if he ever headline, but he's definitely exciting to watch for sure. He has a lot of power, man.
He's 205, right?
He's
Light
a
heavyweight.
205er. Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
205er. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, man, definitely awesome. I applaud him for the work that he's doing. He's trying to inspire people that have the same challenge as he did growing up. You know, people who
His
are
dad was murdered
overweight.
too.
Yeah, man, he has
Mhm.
a lot of stuff a lot of things to talk about, and I'm interested to see what he's gonna do with that. He looks like he wanted to write a book. He sounded like he wanted to write a book, or he may be writing a book. So it'd
Mhm.
be awesome to be able to. Hopefully, he
To see
completes
that,
that
yeah.
project, yeah, and be able to pick that up. So that'd be cool.
Mhm.
That was a crazy one. The last one before we get to the main card was, what do you think about Marlon Moraes and his fight with Sang Yadong?
Man. I mean, the Magic Man. I like Marlon Moraes. He's a good dude. I think he represents the sport really
Right.
well.
Yeah.
But I honestly, I would like, I never want to, tell somebody what to do. If you don't want to hang it up, like those, what's that, 4 in a row, and they all been
Four in a
brutal
row.
KOs.
KOs. Four KOs in a row, bro.
Yeah, I,
TKOs and KOs.
I would like to see him, if not, not retire, but take some time away, like at least a year or two, get that chin, because I mean, once that
I
chin
don't
is
know, man.
gone, like it's,
I don't even think it comes back, man.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think
it doesn't, yeah,
even with a year off, 2 years off, I don't think it'll come back, man. And it's four TKOs, KOs that he's lost. His last victory was a split decision versus Jose Aldo in 2019. Before
and
that, he was KO'd by Cejudo.
and I'll be honest with you, I thought he lost that fight.
I agree. I agree. So in the last 3 years, he's one out of six with five TKO KO losses, bro.
Jeez.
And I thought this guy was going to be the champion, bro. He is shredded. That dude is he's good. He's good,
Especially
but
when
just
the way he knocked out Aljamain Sterling, I was like, oh, this is
oh,
the
that was
new,
amazing with that knee. He
yeah.
just kind of stayed stiff. Yeah, that was
Hmm.
really awesome. Yeah, I mean, he had some really decent wins like Aljamain Sterling, Jimmy Rivera.
Yeah.
He knocked out. He beat Asuncion with
Hmm.
submission. That's when he was on fire, man. And I was like, yo, this guy is finishing dudes. He's next. And then he did get a chance to win the strap against Cejudo.
Yeah.
Obviously, Cejudo put him away. And then he fought Jose, which he won controversially. I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah. But um, but yeah, man, I don't know, man. I don't think anybody comes back from a 4-fight skid with TKO losses. I think the UFC is going to release him if they haven't already.
Yeah, I can see that. Hmm.
And honestly, if I were his family and his friends and his coaches, I'd say transition to something else, man, because
Hmm.
it's very dangerous to keep on fighting with so many finish or finishes that way, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a difficult thing because I get it. As a fighter, what do you do, right? Your whole life has been fighting. That's all you know. All you know to do. Um, and they just keep on going. And sometimes I ask the question is why these guys keep on going, and it's easy for me to say it on the outside, right? But this is their livelihood. This is what they do. They don't know anything more, and they just want to keep on going. And some of them may still think that they still got it. Who knows? Maybe he'll go to a less smaller promotion. Make his
PFL, if they have it.
PFL,
Yeah.
yeah, make his way up. But I always feel like even when they go to the other promotions, I don't know. I think
Because look at
there's
Anthony Pettis.
exactly right. That's what I was
Mhm.
gonna say. Like you got all these former UFC fighters that go to these other promotions that think they're going to make huge waves, but they don't make anything. Right? Pettis,
Mhm.
Machida,
Yep.
right? I think the only one that's had really good success is Gegard
Yeah, yeah,
Masusi.
he is. Yeah,
Yeah, he's a
Musashi.
champ. Musasi, he's a champ at I think
At
at Bellator.
Bellator.
Yeah, so he's really the only one that I think sticks out. That he was in the UFC, and then he's making headways. I think even what's his name?
That would have been a great fight. Imagine him and Usman.
Yeah, well, who knows? Maybe they'll make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, man, I don't know, man. But that was definitely difficult to watch. But Song Yadong, young dude, he's a beast.
Mm-hmm.
He's been doing really well.
He lost
What
to
do you?
Cheeto though.
Yeah.
Cheeto beat him, man. But anyways, I mean, yeah, he's
What's next for this guy though?
what they're 135. I was hoping he called out Sean O'Malley, but I guess I understand like the call
He
out of Cruz, but you know I thought that like I would try to get like the big fight. I guess Dominic Cruz is a big fight, but I'm talking about like trying to get me on like a pay-per-view and stuff like that, because if you knock out or finish Sean O'Malley, the sky's the limit. Like
yeah, but I think on the ranking he's above Sean.
oh, is he?
Yeah, I think Sean right now is at 12.
Oh, okay. So
And
then, okay.
and Song Yadong was at 8 last time I checked. So he called out Cruz, who's number 7. So it makes sense for him to go
Yeah,
up.
I see. Yeah.
But
Okay.
and you're saying that he beat Cheeto, or he lost to Cheeto?
He beat Cheeto, but
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
Cheeto Vera beat him. Like I couldn't believe when the decision was announced. I
I
think it was
must
a
have
split
missed that one.
decision.
It was a unanimous
Oh,
decision. I'm looking at.
unanimous. Yeah, I don't know, man, because Cheeto definitely lost the first round, but at the second round, third round, I mean, he was lighting him
Lighting him
up
up.
with those elbows, and and I was like, oh, he won, and then yeah, unanimous song.
I'm interesting. I'm looking at his record now, and he actually lost to Kyler Phillips.
Mm-hmm.
Kyler Phillips is awesome, man. I love
Yeah.
watching him fight. That dude's super exciting to watch. Um, and it's interesting that he lost to him, because I don't even think he's ranked right now,
Yeah, I don't think so
or maybe
either.
he's top 15, but I can't see that now. But
Is he still in the UFC?
yeah, Kyler Phillips for sure. He had his last win against Marcelo Rojo. He had that arm triangle or triangle armbar.
Oh
Triangle
wow.
armbar. Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, I like his call out for Cruz. I think that's cool. He did it respectfully, right? He
Mm-hmm.
told him that he's grown up seeing him fight. He loves his style. He wants to see how he matches up to him. Kind of interesting that he's also coming out of that alpha
Team
male
Alpha
camp,
Male, yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
That's I don't know if there's something there, but he did it with as a gentleman. And I'm interested to see if Cruz responds. I don't know. I think Cruz also wants to kind of go up the ranks as well. He obviously
Yeah,
wants to
he don't
become
want
a
to fight.
champion again. He doesn't. I don't think he wants to fight anyone who's below the top 5. Right? He's obviously wanting to climb up the rank himself. So I don't know if the UFC would make that happen, because obviously Cruz has a lot of pull. A former champ. He's on the broadcasting team. I think he has a lot. His opinion matters in that conversation with Dana White. So we'll see what happens, man.
I wonder if Cheeto beats Rob Font. Does that happen? Cruz versus Cheeto Vera,
That
because
would be
those two, yeah.
that would be an awesome fight to watch,
Mm-hmm.
because Cheeto is good. He's just keeps on coming forward, kind of like a
Tough.
zombie.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. We got a comment from Gil, who's watching. Let's see what he says. Says, "Yep, Cheeto won. Cheeto won that fight. The judges took that one. Yeah. I'm gonna go back and watch that, because I don't recall watching that. Maybe I did and wasn't really paying attention, but I'll probably go back and watch that fight for sure. Yeah, man. But yeah, that was an interesting one. So, but unfortunately, I think for Moraes, I think he should really consider either taking a long break, like you said, or really hang. And I thought he was. He took off the gloves.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was
so
gonna.
too.
Yeah, maybe his coaches told him, "Hey, man, don't do it," which I kind of think would be a stupid thing to do as a coach. Seeing where he's been, his career, like his last couple years, I would say, "Hey, man, it's time,"
And especially after that Morab Dualishvili fight, the way he took, what was it, like 30 something unanswered punches? I mean,
that was bad.
yeah,
That was really bad. I thought, and he was winning that fight for a second.
yeah, oh yeah, I thought he was gonna
He
knock him
almost
out. I was like, oh my,
but
yeah.
he gassed himself out trying to put him out.
Mm-hmm.
But It is what it is, man. And you're on top one day, and the next day
It's the fight
you're
game. Yeah.
forgotten. Exactly. Right. All right. So let's go. Let's jump into that main event with Ankalaev and Santos. What do you think about that?
It was a boring fight, if you ask me. Yeah, like I
Yeah.
think both respected each other's power a little bit, and I get it,
Too
because
much, man.
if I'm in a fight with somebody who throws haymakers and bombs like that, I'm gonna be a little tentative to go in. You know, I was surprised that Ankalaev didn't try to grapple him more.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure like Santos is that much of a grappler, you know. If he is, maybe,
Nah.
but
Yeah.
he definitely is falling in love with his hands. So
Right.
he's not gonna do that. So yeah, I was kind of surprised, because I really thought, he would grab and make quick work. I'm surprised he went the distance because like I feel like Santos is on the decline ever since that knee injury. I don't think he's
It's the
recovered
same.
from that. And as
Yeah.
somebody who's suffered from multiple knee injuries myself, I know how tough that is, to
Yeah.
try to like, regain or, like even like have that confidence again to like,
Yeah.
perform at peak, you know.
Yeah. For sure. He is a black belt in jiu-jitsu, but obviously we haven't seen him really on his back.
Ever. I don't.
And yeah, and he's ever since that fight with Jones, he's more on a losing streak than not. I mean, he did have that win against Johnny Walker, but
Johnny Walker's, at
Johnny
this point,
Walker
yeah.
is also a lot of
Hmm.
hype, you
Yep.
know. But yeah, with the Ankalaev fight, I don't know, man. I think that if you really wanted to make a statement, I think Ankalaev should have been more aggressive. And I was watching another podcast, and they talked about how he, even though he won the fight, his stock didn't rise that high,
Yeah.
because you want to make a statement. If you want to become a champion, if you want a championship fight, you have to be entertaining, and that fight was not entertaining at all, unfortunately. Although he did win, added a win to his record, it doesn't add a win to that talk conversation of who's next,
Hmm.
to fight Glover Teixeira.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he is on a massive winning streak, 8 fight winning streak, but it's kind of like Islam Magachev, man. You're on this massive winning streak, and you just don't get that call, bro.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, because I think, well, I know the UFC is like kind of mad at him right now because of that whole RDA thing.
Yeah. There's
You
a lot
know,
of, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of mixed messages going on. Him saying, "Oh, they pulled it. UFC is the one that pulled it." Dos Anjos is saying, "No, you're the one that rejected it." I
yeah,
don't
he
know.
wanted $1 million or something like
Yeah,
that
something
to
like that.
fight.
He's
Yeah,
like, I just wanted
something.
to get paid, right?
Hmm.
Honestly, I mean, UFC could have made it happen. I mean, I don't know
Definitely.
why, to begin with, that's something else that we should talk about at some point, is how the UFC does not treat their fighters well at all. I mean, they're completely underpaid, and I think that's something that all these top, you know, blogs and MMA blogs have talked about. People that, obviously, if it's $1 million, what's $1 million to you when you put that
Yeah, with
on a pay per view?
multi-billion dollar. Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure that they would have made that back easily, man. I mean,
scale
come
back
on.
on the LED lights around the octagon, and you.
Exactly, bro. Relax with that, man, and just
Yeah.
pay the fighters what they deserve. I mean, you're talking about, if you're on a prelim card, you're only getting $8,000 to $12,000. Come on, man. They can't make a living off that, bro.
And
They
I don't,
train it.
and I don't even think they pay their insurance. Like that comes out of their purse.
It's crazy, and they got
Yeah.
to pay their trainers, and they got to pay their dietitians, and whatever else they got going on, and try to make a living off $12,000 for one fight, man. That's crazy, man. Imagine you got 4 fights in the year, if you can,
Hmm.
48, 40. Man, I might as well get my degree and go work for a company, bro.
And
And I'm
save
not
your
gonna get punched in the
brain.
face. Exactly. I'm not gonna get punched in the face for 12 G's. I mean, I think that's ridiculous, man. They need to really reevaluate that. And they had all this talk about having a fighters union. I don't know if that's actually happened or whatever, but
I don't
that would
think.
be.
Yeah, it would be nice, but I think, and I forget who made the point, but basically they said, like we're beating each other up, like it's a machismo sport, like, oh, I'm better than you, that type of thing. How can we all sit together to agree on something, like with that? So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that, but at the end of the day, you also have to look at the business side of things and what's best for the fighters,
Hmm.
and kind of put all those all that's to the side and say, let's come up with some type of process or system that's going to support the livelihood of the fighters. At the end of the day, right? They're the
Yep.
ones putting it on the line to make the UFC money, right?
Yeah.
Dana White's getting rich, off the backs of these fighters. You know what I'm saying? So he, I'm sure in some cases he does take care of. There's a lot of times you'll read, oh, he paid for this guy's funeral, or he paid for their surgery. I'm sure that does happen, right?
Yeah.
But how high up the rank do you have to be to get that special treatment, right?
Yeah, because I think he did that recently with Bryce Mitchell. Because remember, he was donating half of his
Yeah,
purse,
exactly, right,
and he said, "No, don't worry about it. We're going to do it."
right. And
Yeah. I'm sorry. I think the change will happen. Like with the NBA, like when like LeBron James and all of them realize, hey, without us, there is no NBA. Like,
exactly.
and then like all of a sudden the shift from the owners to like it's a player league now. Maybe it takes somebody like Connor when he was on top of the game to be like, what, I'm not going to
That'd be
and try
crazy.
to like but then they were paying him whatever handsomely that he just
That'd
but
be
if he
crazy. You
would have
see, you see a massive UFC strike on a pay-per-view, just nobody shows up.
yeah, that will things will
That'd be
change
great.
real quick.
Yeah, man. But yeah, I think that has to change. We got another comment from Gil who's participating here. We got
Big shout out to
and
Gil.
heck yeah, and add to that, they don't even pay them the show and the win price. Yeah, sometimes they don't, right? But
Yep.
that I also kind of think that also falls on the fighters' management team too. Like they gotta advocate for that, right? Hey, my fighter's gonna fight. I want him to get double if he wins, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I do see that sometimes they get the win plus the
The show, yeah.
plus the show, right? And
And the
sometimes they
show,
don't.
and for those who are new to like the show money is like you make your way, that type of that's the way in like that process is the show money. You get that thing, and then if you win, you get that
Yeah,
purse as
get an
well.
extra bonus, right? And honestly, I think that should be like default, right? That should be
Exactly.
the default. Okay, you show up, you're guaranteed to get paid X amount. If you win, and that's an incentive for them to like
Mm-hmm.
put on a show, right? They want to take it, take that win. I like the whole fight bonuses, which we should talk about. There was 9 last night, which is like crazy. I've heard of the max 4. 9 of them were last night. Some of them I don't agree with, but yeah, there is those fight bonuses. So if you do perform well, like if you get a TKO, if you have a submission, or if you have a great back and forth, you get a $50,000 bonus. Sometimes the fighters will call out that bonus. And it's obviously to the discretion of the UFC. Sometimes I don't think that they're completely fair. They usually go to like the guys on the main card if they have a decent win.
Or
Um,
the Dana White privilege.
yeah, exactly. But
Whoever he's like trying to
but
hype
there's
up.
exactly, and then but there is some extra. There's an opportunity to make some extra money, but obviously that's up for grabs for whoever outperforms during the night. But um, but yeah, I think that there should be some type of decent, scaling should be different, man. To fight for $12,000, man, and have to keep on going up the ranks, man, that's crazy. I mean,
And it's also tough too because let's say your management somebody on a lower tier of the card, but like I want this, and they'll be like, all right, well, there's like a million other fighters, that we can just pull up off the street that would gladly, you know, be a part of the UFC banner for this amount of money that we're offering you. So it's
I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, is the UFC, and you probably know better than I do. The UFC obviously right now is like a global organization. They have fighters everywhere, right? They got a roster in China, they got a roster in Europe, a roster in the United States. So, is boxing like that too?
no, well, the boxing they have like a lot of like these different federations. So like you have like the WBC, the WEC. You have all these different like banners.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of that's why with them we don't get to see the fight. So the good thing about the UFC and why I think it's like rising up, like in terms of popularity with boxing is that the fights that we want to see, a lot of times we'll see them. Like for a perfect example with boxing, like the Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao. It
Took
took
forever.
until both were well past their prime when that fight actually took place. You know, I'm sure. I want to say like, isn't that the holdup between like Terrence Crawford right now versus I want to say Errol Spence or something like that, or I don't know if they might have fought. It's somebody with I think Terrence Crawford, but it was like with Bob Arum is beefing with somebody, and then also too you have the different networks too. So you have like Showtime and well HBO at the time when they were big into boxing, you know, but like the Zone, like trying to work that stuff out, and you know, so it's a lot of like obstacles and stuff like that in the way, you know, before you know.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know too much about boxing to really like understand, but it seems like you have these different organizations that are at the same level with each other. UFC is the creme de la creme, right? I mean, there's nobody that tops them. Like if you're the UFC world champion, it's not like the Bellator world champion, right? Or the PLF world champion, right? So it's interesting, but I kind of feel like because of that, they manipulate the pay scales, right? But we'll see. But anyway, we've on a side tangent on the salaries. We know we talked about that in the back end, but I'm glad we could put that out there. We don't agree. We wish that they would pay them a lot more. Obviously, we're being entertained almost every weekend, and give these guys what they're worth, right? For their heart. And we train. We train mostly as hobbyists, but obviously that's still difficult, right? There's to go on the mat and train and training sessions are not easy, right? You're putting in work. Imagine these guys who are doing it for a living every day, multiple times a day, just to get in there one time for our entertainment, and then coming out with only $12,000. I think that's something that they should really consider, man. Because
Ariel Helwani, even said that he thinks that instead of the show and the win perform, it should be like both of those combined. Like let's say you know like 45 show and 45 win. It should be 90,000. You know, and that type of thing. So he wants to get rid of like the split and make it just one purse.
Yeah, for sure, man. All right, let's jump in. I mean, that was last week, man. We in 42 minutes and we haven't even talked, man. But this one's a good one. Let's jump into last night's UFC fights because we still want to talk a little bit about Usman and Canelo and all that good stuff, right? So let's go through this one quickly. Maybe we can revisit this one. So who was the fight that stood out the most for you last night?
I want to say I liked Arnold Allen's performance against Dan Hooker. I mean, he just took it to him. You know, I was believed in the hype because it's funny. I didn't like Dan Hooker when he first came up. Like that whole city kickboxing team is like kind of like cocky, kind of annoying. That Eugene Behrman, I wasn't a fan, but he kind of grew on me. Like listening to his interviews and stuff like that. He's a funny dude, like lighthearted. So to see him go out like that was tough. And also he's on like a 4-fight skid as well. So
which is crazy because he is another up and comer. And who had a lot of hype behind him and thought he was going to, make his way all the way to the title at one point.
Yeah.
But what's interesting to me is these fighters who obviously are having, limited success in their weight class. They're probably their natural weight class, right? And even that, I mean, he is a huge 155er. He's like 6'1", 6'2".
Yeah, exactly. He shouldn't be that weight.
Yeah, he came down to 145. And the thing is, for me, is like, how do fighters feel like, okay, I'm losing at my weight class, the weight class I've been fighting for a while. I'm going to go down. And in their mind, I wonder if they think, well, I'm going to be bigger. So I'm probably going to have, more success against these little dudes. And then they come down to fight in a weight class below them and they get smashed, right? You got Cody Garbrandt, versus Kai Kara France, who got smashed, and now Booker versus Allen, right?
I think that was poor. And then that falls on his team because I wouldn't have accepted that fight, not against Arnold Allen, who's a beast. Me personally, I probably would have recommended because I feel like his body type would be better at 170. Although I don't think he has a grappling to hang in that division. He'll probably be like as sad to say, but kind of like that gatekeeper type. Like if you want to see if this guy has the goods, match him up against Hooker and see, that type of thing,
Yeah, but that means you're on your way out, man.
Yeah, and
If you're the
I kind of
gatekeeper
feel
and
like
you
it
can't,
with him too.
yeah, if you're the
Yeah,
gatekeeper and you can't really, kind of control the flow of who's coming in, you're on your way out, man. And Hooker, he had a chance. I mean, he hit him hard at one
he
point,
did.
kind of buckled him a little bit,
Yep.
and I don't know. Allen just turned it up afterwards, man. And I don't know. I think he just stayed there. I mean, I think maybe after that first punch, he was just dazed and just couldn't really get his composure back. I mean, he didn't try to close the distance. Obviously, Allen is probably prepared for that too. But it was just crazy to see that, man. And my hats off to Allen and much success, man, because I was surprised, man. I thought Hooker was going to come in here and dominate.
Yeah, he's a good fighter.
He is, and we'll see what's next for him. What do you think is next for him, man? Like, does he get one more fight and see where he, or
Hooker? Yeah, definitely. I mean, even though he's on the skid, but he's still a draw. People like him and stuff like that. Yeah, I definitely think he'll get like another crack at it. Yeah. I don't want to see him at 145 again. I probably
That's what I was gonna ask.
Probably go back to 155.
Does he go back to 155?
I mean, yeah, granted, the PI and all that stuff, but you're draining yourself. I mean, and even losing all that weight, does your power even travel with you like down a class? Because you're draining your body. I probably like to see him at 155. Again, I'd have to look at the rankings, but I definitely will be somebody lower in the ranking, like top 15 or like in that 10 to 15 range, or even out of that, like to try to rebuild. I wouldn't, you can't be calling out on anybody. I wouldn't match him up. Well, no, Makhachev beat him already. Yeah. He wasn't the same after that Felder fight. I have to look at I don't have the rankings in front of me, so I want to see like something. I'm like, oh, I want to see.
Well, he won by split decision.
Against Felder. I thought he lost that fight though.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think he wasn't the same after that, because that was a war.
That was a war.
That took like years off their life, probably.
Yeah. Yeah. He lost to Dustin and he lost to Chandler right after that. I mean, but those are two, top 5 guys who he fought afterwards.
Would have been nice Ferguson, because both are on losing streaks. But I mean, he's already been paired up with Chandler, so maybe he should take some time off as well.
Yep. Let's see, and then all right, let's talk about Paddy. What are your thoughts about Paddy?
He's overrated, man. He's overrated, bro. Like I was like, excited to see him when he signed from Cage Warriors. I was like, oh, like, let's see. But I mean, these last 2 fights, I'm just like,
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of like the gloating, right? The showboating.
Oh, I hate that. Yeah,
I don't like. I never liked it with Connor. Obviously, I don't like it with this guy. I don't know too much about Paddy. Obviously, only about what since he's can't come to the UFC. But he sounds like he has a lot of hype behind him. And I read a quote from what's it called? Dana White, basically saying that the hype is real behind this kid. I was like, honestly, I don't think so, man. He got clipped, right. Man. He got clipped.
Almost cursed on it.
He got clipped. He got clipped last night. And
the fight before too. I mean, he almost got knocked out in the first fight.
Yeah, Vargas clipped him. He went for that shot, which he defended. And he was on top for quite a while. Obviously, Vargas screwed up. Let his back get taken, and he got put to. He submitted him.
I think he should have separated. Instead of with that clinch. I don't know what, because he even said it himself that Paddy had, like he expected it to be a grappling match. Like he didn't think that he could strike with him. I would have separated, because I mean, you heard his corner say they were telling him get prepared for that throw, which he did, and then it was a wrap from there. But I don't know. I mean, I don't see a contender. I don't know what they see. Like maybe Dana White had one too many last night.
I don't know, man. I think he got a thing for these guys in Europe, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but
the European fans, I mean,
huge.
They're crazy. So like they're gonna see that, like, oh, like it'll transition, but I think he's gonna get clipped, and that supernova is gonna just fizzle out.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think he has a big thing for UK, and I mean, yeah, you're right. The fans do make it
They support.
worthwhile, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you heard the crowd just it's like a soccer game,
Mm-hmm.
man.
Yep.
You know, but yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, obviously, he's got two wins in a row. You know,
Especially at
both finishes.
155. I mean, do you think I don't even see him like?
He doesn't beat. He's a 155er.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's
he
no
does.
way.
He's no way he's gonna beat Makachev, man.
Yeah.
There's no
So
way.
that's just it's a waste of our time. This hype.
He's got a long way to go. I think they put him with a better striker with a decent wrestling background. You know,
Yeah.
it's gone. I mean, this guy's not gonna beat Poirier. He's
Oh
not
no,
going.
no,
He's not
no.
going to beat Chandler. He's not
Mm-mm.
going to beat Chandler. I mean, at least not now, right?
Yeah. No. Chandler will,
But
with
he's
Cliff
27.
Gaethje is gonna like kick his legs
Gaethje,
out.
come on, man. And so
Oliveira.
right. So I don't see him becoming a champ. I
He
do. I
probably will go
do.
down to 145. I could see him going down to
You
avoid
think? I mean, he's
all, because so I was looking at this thing, and I'm sorry, we're already at 51 minutes. But I was reading, like, listening to Chael Sonnen, who said that he's gone out of his way, like made it known that he doesn't want to, he's not going to take these big name fights at the pay he's making now. So he's willing to like he's like kind of like playing, according to Chael Sonnen, playing like this dangerous game. Like, is he like really, just fighting like tomato cans, and I don't even like to say that, because like if you're in the UFC, you are a bad person,
yeah.
but if he's taking these fights, like, and it's just, whatever to him. So,
Yeah. So Gil got a comment. He disagrees with us.
oh,
Gil
what's up,
said,
dude?
"I think the hype is real from a fan perspective. He has a big following. He brings excitement. He definitely needs to work on his stand up. Definitely, I definitely agree with that.
He's very
Obviously he's a
chinny, because
draw.
when he strikes, his chin is up in the air, his
Yeah.
hands are low. One, that Taipora guy, but he already said he's not even interested in that fight. Bling, and that's it.
Oh,
The
that's the
bag
one. Yeah,
will be
yeah.
fatty.
I mean, I agree. I agree that he is. You know that he is a draw. Obviously, he has he has a huge following. And does he bring that same level, same energy that Connor did? Probably. Is he going to be as as successful as Connor? Probably not. Maybe.
Not
I
at
mean, he.
155.
I would like to see where he is at 30, where he's like in his prime. Right, he's 27, so technically he's kind of entering those prime years, 28 to 30. I'd like to see where he is at 30. The people who he's fought. If he continues winning in the same fashion, yeah, see how he does. But as far as skill level, when you compare him to the top five, there's no way that he compares to those guys at this moment. But 3 years from now, continues to train, continues to stay focused, and be serious about the sport. Then yeah, man, we'll see that. The only thing is like the hype, that whole animated attitude. I feel like it doesn't represent the level of a professional fighter, and I get that Connor is unique, right? That's what he does.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't find it. I don't like it, and
I don't find it appealing at all.
at all, right?
Yeah.
I like that. I like that cool, nonchalant. I'm a champ, but I'm dangerous, right? But I'm still cool, like Oliveira, right? He's
Mm-hmm.
just like a silent,
But even
killer,
like
bro.
with Patty, like, you know, I don't even think he lives that fighter lifestyle 24/7. You saw him, oh, I'm gonna get
He
fat, I'm
blew
gonna
up.
get drunk, yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
all this
yeah.
stuff.
Blew
Yeah.
up.
So,
You
I
can't
don't know.
have that
I
mindset.
think, I don't think
You
I
can't
think
have
he's
that
still
mindset.
young in the head, yeah.
That's interesting you say that because in the build up to the fight, Vargas, he said, like, I got people in my country, Mexico, who are his age, who got families, who are this,
Mm-hmm.
who's got that, who already have an adult mindset, and obviously you have this kid who's kind of still living his best childhood days, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so, but to become a champ, to become serious in the sport, you gotta
Make sacrifice.
exactly, you gotta change that mindset. So, and maybe he'll learn. Maybe he'll learn. Maybe he needs an L to get to that point, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, man. And then, so that's Patty. And then last one is, let's talk about Topuria. All right, last one before we jump into the other ones. And I'm down to stay anher a couple
Yeah, I'm
minutes
down
before
too.
after
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Topuria, man. That knockout. What you think about that?
That was I mean,
12
he
0,
got a
bro.
chin. He has a chin, because
Yeah.
I was at first, because I was hoping, he won so that he can call out, Patty the Batty from that whole. I'm sure you saw that scuffle that took
That
place.
scuffle. Yeah, I saw that.
So yeah, I mean, that's a bad. He was the one that knocked out Ryan Hall, right?
Yes. Yes. He
Yeah,
went
that's
for that.
not.
He went for the leg entanglement, the heel hook, and he was like, I ain't having that.
Yep. So I mean, I would like to see it because he has the striking and the grappling, that can nullify, Patty. But he already said it. He's like, I'm not interested in that. I'm past that. So
Why do you think? You think he's nervous? He's ducking that?
he knows. I mean, I think he knows that
He's on another
he's
level.
selling the bill of goods. He's not the real deal. 'Cause
Mm.
these some real animals out there, man. And you mess with, and I think too because I mean Patty has made fun of like Georgians and stuff like that, like talking about like how so ridiculous comments and stuff like that probably shouldn't be said, so it's personal with Taipora.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You know who Taipora looks like to me? I'm looking at him now. He looks like John Berthal.
Oh wow, the
The
Punisher.
Punisher. Yeah, man. Here, hold on. Let me see if I can. I don't know if I can share his picture. You tell me if he looks like him or not. Hold on. Let me see. Does he look like him or not?
A little, I guess. John Berthel when he was like in college or something.
Yeah, he looks just like him, man. It's crazy.
Before the tattoos
You
and
do it side by side.
Yeah.
But not for nothing, man. This kid is crazy. I saw the fight against Ryan Hall. Obviously, I was cheering for Ryan Hall at the time, and then he put him out. Knocked him out, and then I was like, wait. And then I heard during the fight that Taipora is a black belt himself in jiu-jitsu. So, he was familiar with what Ryan Hall was trying to do. So that kind of impressed me. Like, okay, he's not just trying to like avoid it. Right? Exactly. I mean, he knows he's doing it skillfully, but he's on a obviously 12-0 record, 12-0 record, 12-0 fight streak, the last three by KO. And now you got this one against Jai Herbert, who was winning the fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
He hurt him initially with that kick, and but yeah, he took it, man, and then came back with vengeance and put him out. I mean, it wasn't even like a when I saw that, man, I'm just watching it nonchalant, right? Trying to, hoping that this guy doesn't get hurt again. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this guy's eyes roll back and hits the floor, folds. Like, it was nasty. It was nasty, and he has some power, man. And it's interesting, man. I'd like to see him.
Oh, we got to show Molly McCain love with that elbow.
Oh, that elbow. That was crazy. Yeah, and Carolina came out that last round with some fire, and then got caught with that spinning elbow, which was like a super slow setup. Yeah. I don't know. That setup was really slow. She like.
I mean, I saw it coming from a mile away. Exactly. I'm like, I know it. Yeah.
But man, she caught that, man, and she folded too, and that was a good one. So yeah, she definitely deserved the 50,000. She got the 50,000. So did Taipora. He got that. So I definitely think that.
I think the UFC is interested in making that fight because Dana White was in that post fight press conference, like mentioned that like him a lot. So, but like we said off camera in our WhatsApp group chat that Patty's gonna dodge that offer. Like, he's gonna do everything in his power to dodge that.
Yeah, probably
that fight.
Yeah, probably, man. But that was a very exciting fight to watch. A lot of that if he didn't get the 50 G's from that knockout, I'm sure that fight would have kept on going in that fashion, that exchange back and forth. That definitely would have been fight of the night for sure.
Fight of the night, yep.
Yeah. So he got a 50 G's, and let me just run off the list of people who got the 50 G's, which you tell me if you agree or disagree. Pavlichev, he got a 50 G's for his win against Abdurakhimov.
I missed that fight. I didn't see that prelim.
Yeah. He got him, but I don't think he deserved that. I think that was just another regular TKO. Wasn't an impressive one, but he got it. I don't agree with that one. What about Mohamed Mokaev? That flying knee that he came in and then
yeah. See, with those, not like I said, Dana White, I feel like he was partying a little bit too much. I mean, he was like Oprah Winfrey,
He
you get a
just did
bonus.
one of
Yeah,
these. He
yeah,
just did
you
one
get
of
a
these. Yeah, he had that little gun, right? And
Yeah, I
Hulu
know,
gun or
right?
something.
Yeah, like the Dame Lillard. Yeah, like the Hulu has live sports.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for real, man. That dude is just, yo, man. He was just giving money out last night, man. Crazy. Maybe if we were there, he would have given us money too.
I'll take it. Yeah.
So yeah, Muhammad Mokaev had that flying knee. I think he deserved that. That was an
Mm-hmm.
exciting fight, and it's his first fight in the UFC. He's getting that 50 Gs. That's good. That helps.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah.
Incentivize him, build the momentum. Paul Craig got it.
Oh yeah.
That was awesome, and he was getting hit. Did I hear? I mean, did he say that he was letting him do this to kind of bait him in, or was it clean?
Yeah. What if he was? Then
So
you're
that's
not
a
gonna
risk.
laugh. Yeah, that's a risk. Yeah. I mean, his ground game though
It's
is. I
nasty.
mean, wow.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
long. He's definitely got good jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
And he caught him over compromising on those punches and locked in that triangle, and it was a wrap.
Yep.
It was a wrap, but it was nice. I like the setup. When I saw it, literally came out of a self-defense textbook. That was for sure. Then you got who
Did
else
Gunnar
got one?
Nelson get a bonus?
Nah, he didn't get it. Amirkhani got it.
Mm-hmm.
Against Mike Grundy, he got it. Obviously, Topuria got it against Herbert.
Was it KO also?
Which one? The Amirkhani?
Taipora.
No, Taipora was the.
Was he fighting tonight?
No, he wasn't fight of the night. I think he got
KO.
He got performance of the night.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll tell you who got fight of the night. So McCain, she got it. Patty, which I don't think so. I think that was.
And we're not haters, by the way. And we're not haters. I don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, he was in a bad spot. Obviously he turned the tide with that judo throw, with the hip throw, caught him and submitted him. It wasn't nothing special. It wasn't like McCain's knockout, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't like Taipora's knockout, right? It wasn't like Craig, Paul Craig's submission,
yeah.
Right? It wasn't like that. It wasn't like, oh snap. It wasn't one of those, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got Arnold Allen that got it. He got. I mean, now, yeah, for sure, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom Aspinall. I don't remember. I didn't see that fight.
So I didn't see that fight either, actually. Yeah. So yeah, I'm glad you avoided, because I was at a family function.
Yeah.
So I know my wife was giving me looks like, are you really gonna be on your phone watching UFC?
That's funny, man. No, we broke out, but let me see who the fight of the night was. It's weird. I don't see a fight of the night. It looks like they were just like performance of the nights.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, there was no all out war, The
Taipora Herbert would have been one, I think, if it didn't finish. But it's all good.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep it. All right, so let's jump in, man. I mean, that was it. We're done with the UFC, man.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, I could talk I'm a nerd alert. I could talk about UFC for hours.
So let's talk a little bit about this hype with Usman versus Conor talk.
And it's funny. I'm glad we talked about the fighter pay, because I think that's a perfect segue into you're talking about Conor and Usman, but I mean it's still the same thing. With him talking about his Canelo. But yeah, let's go back to the topic. Conor versus Kamaru Usman. I mean, Dana White wants to preserve that cash cow. I don't think that he shouldn't be going into a title fight. I don't know, unless he just wants to end Conor McGregor, once and for all. But I think what Conor should do, he probably won't, because I mean he's a millionaire or whatever. I think he needs to drop that team. He needs to find something, regain that hunger, because I think he's surrounded by a lot of yes men. And, he runs his own training, when he decides he's tired, that's when the training session ends. He don't have a coach telling him, no, let's keep going and stuff like that. So I don't know. I don't, if Usman wants an easy payday, because that'd be easy money for him.
Yeah.
then I guess.
Would you watch it? Would you watch it?
Uh,
You
I
pay
probably
you,
would because I like I said,
oh,
nerd
but
alert.
you go
Huh?
you go to the Buffalo Wild Wings for that one though.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I
But
definitely.
would you pay for it? Would you
No,
pay?
no, because I find Usman to be a boring fighter. Like I don't like him. Conor McGregor, like the build up to, it will be fun, but he's done. In my opinion, I think he's done.
Yeah, I don't think he has the same level of hype. Obviously, he's vulnerable, right? He's been knocked out, been submitted, so it's not the same build up. Ever since that Nate Diaz, he's human. The Nate,
Yeah,
the
and he's
Nate Diaz,
oh, I'm
but
sorry, and Usman's a grappler, and he struggles
and he's
against
big,
grapplers.
he's
Yeah,
huge.
exactly. Yeah, he's not gonna be able to get back up, and he's
No,
gonna have nothing left in
no,
those other rounds. So, I mean,
right,
we already know how this is gonna end. So, I mean,
yeah,
no matter I probably will watch, but yeah, I'm definitely going to Buffalo Wild Wings to get some
yeah, and
wings.
we know that Osman could take a punch. He could take a punch,
Yep.
right? Especially when he fought with Covington, he took some punches. So
Mm-hmm.
obviously, his Connor's best chance is his straight
Early,
left, right? Early straight left,
early.
in
Mm-hmm.
and out. But obviously that may not necessarily capitalize with a fighter like Osman. Obviously, he's going to be prepared for something like that. Could duck under, take him down, and just smother him for
Mm-hmm.
5 rounds, if that, and just or finish him early with just ground and pound, because he's a blanket, man. He's a
Yeah.
blanket when, especially at 170. He's a huge, heavy blanket
Mm-hmm.
against the guy who's fought at 145, 155, probably his weight class,
Yeah.
right? 170, I don't think so. And that's a lot of. I mean, I don't know what he naturally walks out of, but right now he's looking mad
Looks
husky.
huge.
He
Yeah.
looks husky. How much is that muscle, adding that muscle, going to affect him? Right, 155, I think, was his division, and obviously there's people in that division who are a lot better, probably more hungry than him. So yeah, I don't know. I don't. Even if it does happen, it's just for the show. Obviously, UFC's in the business to entertain and to make money. So if they make that happen, it's just for
Yeah.
that. Um, I don't think it's serious championship fight, right? It's not.
Mhm.
It's not at all. So, but yeah. So
They
this,
probably should make if you want to do 170, why don't you do Masvidal? McGregor versus Masvidal, both big names, both on losing streaks. You
yeah, that would.
know,
You're right. That would be a good one. I think that
yeah,
would be good, right? That would be something worth fighting. If you're really trying to make a run for the
it'd be
title,
interesting because we
start
won't
building
we
yourself
won't.
up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, even though like Masvidal, like and I like Masvidal, but his days as a champion, I mean, it's pretty much that window's closed.
Yeah, yeah, for
So
sure.
at this point, it's like those big name, big fights, those type of things, like an attraction now, pretty
Yeah,
much.
right, right. No, that's a good one. I mean, that would be a cool one to watch. Obviously they're not going to let go of Masvidal because he does bring in, you
Oh
know,
yeah. No, they'll never let him go. Yeah,
yeah,
and he
yeah,
just signed
he's
a new long-term contract too. So
right. Even on a three fight losing streak,
people will
he's still a
watch.
draw. Yeah, I also
hmm
watch Masvidal, man.
hmm
That dude's fun to watch. I mean, I love his
hmm
attitude. I love how he
Yeah.
builds up the fights. He's obviously Latino, so I gotta
hmm
support him, right? But
Absolutely.
for sure, man. I love it. His trash talking is subtle. I mean, he
hmm
keeps it cool, right? It's not animated at all. Like he says, him and Nate Diaz are the only gangsters, right?
Yeah, yeah,
He keeps it real, bro. I like that guy. So all right, so let's go like the Canelo talk. Obviously, they got this whole thing about I'm gonna cross over into boxing. You got Francis
Right.
Ngannou doing the same thing, talking about I'm gonna go into boxing. You saw Connor did it and fought Mayweather. Like what's your opinion about this? Like, what do you think about this whole MMA jumping into the boxing world? What do you think about that?
I think is due to that fighter pay. They seen how much McGregor made with that fight against Mayweather, and they think that they can duplicate it. I guess yeah, Usman, yeah. Who would you go? Like the biggest draw in the sport of boxing, Canelo Alvarez. I mean, that's another one. I mean, if they made that fight, which I doubt, but if they ever did, I mean,
Who wins?
Canelo would destroy. I don't even think Usman would be the same after that. Like,
I agree. I agree. It's a different sport. I don't think that Osman has the skills to be able to go against a skilled boxer. I mean, he's not
Exactly. That's
even
been doing that for like years. That's like,
years.
like it boggles my mind because, like I remember when he was, talking about like Masvidal was like, yo, I've been doing this for years, like the wrestling and stuff like that. Like you've only, so what makes him think? And he just, recently with the hands, it hasn't been like something over the years. Like he was this big, puncher and stuff like that. It wasn't until he got to Colorado with that elevation team, that his hands really developed. But you're
Right.
not going to develop in that short amount of time to go against a world champion like Canelo
Yeah.
Alvarez. Yeah,
And
that's
it's and even if you're developed the hands, it's not the same as
the head
the development
movement.
of of a
Yeah,
boxer, right?
the fight IQ. Yeah, the
Exactly. It's a
boxing IQ. Yeah,
complete the angles, the speed, right? It's just completely different, right, than what you need for MMA, right? And Gil, he said it. He said it right, man. I agree 100%. Is he doesn't agree that he should fight Canelo, that he's going to get destroyed, which we both agree to as well. His background is wrestling. You stay away from a boxer, absolutely, right? Like, why would
yep.
you want to fight a boxer? Obviously, it's just for the money,
It's a
right?
cash grab. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yep. I
So
agree 100%.
but what kind of upsets me the most, right, as an MMA fan, more of an MMA fan than boxing. Obviously, we grew up on boxing because MMA wasn't around when we were kids. But as an MMA fan now, I hate how the MMA fighters and I guess you're hitting it on the nail on the nail on the head is that it's the money issue, right? It's the whole money talk. The reason why the MMA fighters are jumping ship and going into the boxing realm is because I'm not getting paid enough. You don't
Hmm.
see that the other way around. Hey,
Yeah.
I'm a boxer. I want to test my skills. It's not about testing skills. It's about I want money,
Hmm.
right? And I kind of like it sucks that that's the case, right? The MMA is like the blue collar dudes trying to make a buck, right? And the boxers, are living large. Even if you're like on a lower card, you're still gonna make a little bit of money,
Yep.
right? And obviously, you got people like Canelo and Mayweather who were banking on their fights, right?
Yeah.
Ridiculous amount of money, and it's like wow, the one pay like a Canelo's fight, one pay that he gets is probably could probably fund every single card on a main event card
Yeah,
on the
I
UFC.
believe. Yeah, yeah. And I'm sorry to cut you off. I believe Ariel Hawani said that he makes more than the UFC roster combined,
Crazy.
and it's and I think he just signed a deal with DAZN. I believe it's like 50 million, 50 million per fight or whatever. So, and that's not even. I
Crazy.
don't think that includes pay-per-view points and all that other stuff. Well,
That's
no,
crazy.
the zone is not pay-per-view. That's subscription based, but you know what I
It's
mean.
crazy.
Like, yeah. Mhm.
Exactly. It's crazy though, man. It's like, will the UFC ever get to that? Obviously, I don't think they will ever get to that. They're a monopoly, man.
Yeah,
There's no
exactly. Yeah.
competition. There's no
Yep.
competition. As much as you want to say Bellator and all these other,
But it's not.
I don't think so. It's not,
Mhm.
and that's why they're doing it. I get it. I don't like it because it feels like it taints MMA, right? It kind of taints a
Mhm.
little bit these fighters, their legacy or whatever. I know they're trying to do it for that, but
Because
I don't know. It's a bad impression that it leaves.
yeah, because I mean, you see a lot of these fighters saying, with those the fight performances like knockout, 50G bonus. Like I believe it was like Cheyenne Bynes, I believe, Byes. Well, I know she changed her last name, but like a couple fights ago when she fought, she got I think it was like performance of the some bonus. She got 50K bonus, and pretty much she said like I think she like I don't know if her account was negative or something like that, but that
Mm.
was like that money like went a long way for her.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
She was, like running low on cash and stuff
Oh yeah,
like that.
remember. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
But that's just the only thing that kind of gets to me is the fact that it's not about I'm gonna test my skills against a skilled boxer. It's the I need to make money, right? And I wish that they would just be open about it. Like, hey
yeah,
man, UFC's not paying me enough. I'm gonna go over here to make more money, and that's just the way it is. All right. It's not about and I don't. I guess maybe as a fighter you have to convince yourself that I have a chance, but you really don't. Like nobody
yeah,
in the
you
world
know,
is is convinced that you can beat Canelo. Like there's no way. Maybe you do all right. Maybe you kind of last whatever round, whatever the duration of the fight. But honestly, man, against somebody like that, skilled man. I mean, and it's not somebody who's an up and comer, right? I mean, that's the top of dog, right?
yeah,
Um, Yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't
I don't think it
understand that. Yeah,
happens.
I just, and I'm glad Dana White shut it down because it's kind of embarrassing, but it is what it is.
Yeah, man, it's
Yeah.
crazy, man. But that's that. And then all right, so let's go into Gordon Ryan and his little Instagram beef with Ryan Hall.
Yeah.
Obviously, it happened after Gary Tonin lost to Lee, right, for the one championship
Mm-hmm.
belt, which was nasty. Obviously his game plan was
Grapple.
to
Yeah.
grapple, right? And Lee obviously he has a decent grapple, but he's been training with Ryan right here in Virginia,
Yeah.
50-50.
Yeah. I didn't. I was surprised by that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I'm surprised that Lee has made it this far. I mean, I'm not taking away from his skills, but he was in the house with the Ultimate Fighter. Was
Mhm.
really known for his taekwondo background, right? His stand up.
Yeah.
He did all right. I didn't make it to the UFC, kind
Mhm.
of on lower promotions. Now he's the one championship. I think the lightweight, right? Lightweight
Yeah.
champion at one
Well, I
championship.
guess because I think like
155.
145, but it's like weird
145.
that it's it's
He's a
yeah.
champ, right?
Hmm.
He's a champ.
Yeah.
Tonin, obviously, he's been on a winning streak, fought for the title, and he went for heel hooks, which at one point I thought he had it.
Yep.
Didn't seem to phase Lee, and Lee just started going off on his
Peeing on
face.
him. Yeah.
I don't understand why he didn't let go, maybe close the distance to kind of bring him back, try to recover. He just kept on going for it and left his face exposed, and obviously went to sleep. I get it. I'm the person on the outside, looking in, and I can criticize and saying, why did he do that? Tom DeBlas said it best. He said, had Tonin actually locked in the heel hook and got him to submit, we'd be basically singing a different tune and saying he's a specialist, how leg locks work in MMA and grappling is the best and so on and so on. Yeah, absolutely. Right. I
Mm-hmm.
agree. I agree with that. But the reality is that he didn't submit him. And I think the best strategy at that point was he got hit the first time and he saw that he was vulnerable, that he should have let go, or changed, his direction, maybe pulled him into his guard, or try to, create space and stand up again and maybe look for a cleaner shot where he could, come on top.
Yeah, it's funny because during that fight, like you could tell that Lee respected the grappling because he's more of like a forward-facing fighter, but he was like kind of like backing up, like I guess like trying to prepare for the threat of the shot and stuff like that. I thought at that point like Tonin probably should have let go and tried, but yeah, like you said, it's easy for us to say because we're watching on YouTube, instead of like somebody punching us in the face while where we're trying to like go for something. So, but yeah, and then how the beef started is Ryan Hall, was um congratulating his fighter, kind of took the time to like throw a little pot shot at at Gary Tonin, and then at the end, which I knew was gonna start something, was when he said, "Oh, I'm gonna start putting my leg lock defense instructional, or stay tuned for the DVD." Like BJJ Fanatics and stuff like that. So I knew that was gonna be
That's what Ryan Hall
Ryan
said.
Hall said. Yeah, he was like, "Look, yeah."
That's crazy.
I was like, "Oh, here we go," and then sure enough, like they started going at it. But he said that like he thought that Gary Tonin was disrespectful in the lead up to the fight, like saying basically he's gonna, and I thought it was like kind of strange too. Like he was like, I'm gonna show him how unprepared he really was for this fight and stuff like that, like talking about like his grappling and stuff like that. So and then Gordon Ryan, he chimed in talking about how, like everybody thinks, who sucks at BJJ thinks that Ryan Hall is this good BJJ practitioner. Look at all the things that he's won, like I guess like three, I don't even know, like it was like a silver medal, and he was like fighting like local tournaments and stuff like that. But then it kind of backfired because then a lot of people's like, well, look at John Donner here. How many competitions does he even compete? So like that whole back and forth it's kind of corny, but then Ryan Hall now is in ADCC, and I'm, it's interesting because I'm sure that they're going to try to match those two up,
So
Gary Tonin and Ryan Hall,
yeah,
you know.
interesting. Yeah, that's interesting to see. Yeah, so it's funny because Gordon, man, he's a wizard not only on the mats but on the Instagram, on
Social media.
Instagram feed and social media, putting out stuff, it's controversial stuff to keep attention on him, obviously, and but bringing to light some issues, right? And I can see the post that he made where he says Thon's leg defense instructional will be out next week. That's funny, and obviously, so he's defending his boy, right? Gary Tonin, one of his original teachers and stuff, and obviously one of his good friends. And then he started kind of highlighting how Ryan is not necessarily that good of a grappler. That's kind of tough. I mean, I think Ryan Hall is a very good grappler. He's done all right in MMA. Obviously, not an exciting fighter, right? But when he does lock it in, you're like, wow, that's awesome. And I don't know if I kind of came up in jiu-jitsu like knowing about Ryan Hall because he was on Team Lloyd Irving, and and seeing him compete, and he's pretty good at the level of Gordon Ryan. Probably not, but I don't think he's taking the same path, right? Obviously, he's a smaller guy, and he had different goals, right? He did well at the lower ranks, right? Obviously, he placed third at the ADCC at some point. But he kind of went into teaching, building his school, and obviously he joined the UFC roster, won the Ultimate Fighter, and that was his path. Gordon obviously went another direction, obviously to become what the self-proclaimed, or I guess maybe at this point most people will say that he's the no-gi GOAT, right? I'm confident saying that he's definitely probably the best no-gi grappler in the world for sure, but completely different paths. So I don't know if I could dismiss Ryan Hall's accomplishments, man, because he's good, right? He's done his thing. He's paid his dues.
And to place at ADCC, that's nothing to sneeze at. I mean, that's
right. And so I don't know. I mean, obviously it's just talk between these two, but it is interesting to see that he did get an invitation to come to ADCC. And honestly, in this whole MMA fight game type of thing, there's always going to be some trash talking, man. I mean, that's how you sell stuff, right? That's how you sell yourself, sell the fighters, sell whatever you're going to do afterwards. So I don't know if Ryan Hall even comes off as that super disrespectful type of dude, right? If he said that, maybe he was being funny, I don't think that that's the case, man.
But I think apparently their beef has gone back like over the years. Like I think he doesn't like the fact that they, he considers them that whole crew to be like super disrespectful and things like that. So I think that this was like something that's been brewing for a number of years, and it finally came to head when
we'll see.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, as far as we know, it's interesting. It's just to kind of see what it keeps us entertained, right? Yeah. Obviously, we keep on going back to Gordon Ryan's Instagram to just read what's next. But yeah, it's interesting to see that he's coming out. But I mean, for us, I personally, for me, obviously Ryan Hall is one of our local fighters, right? Local grapplers here, kind of being in the DMV area. Still, UFC probably he's not having a crazy run like we probably have thought. And I think that his leg entanglement game kind of has been figured out at this point, right? Obviously, in his evolution as an MMA fighter, may not necessarily be, successful, right?
Yeah.
But I think he's still an exciting person to watch. I mean, I wouldn't take anything away from him, man. But let's see what happens at the ADCC in September. That'd be pretty cool.
Absolutely.
All right. So last one, we'll try to wrap it up in another 5 minutes or so. Is Cain Velazquez? I mean, we've been talking about this in the back end for a while now, and I wanted to, kind of talk a little bit about that. What do you think about what's going on with Cain, man? It's kind of sad to champ, man. He's one of the few champions that I respect. He's amazing person, amazing fighter, obviously. And not to be in this situation, it kind of sucks, man. It's not Obviously, everybody's feeling for him. They empathize with him. What do you think about this whole situation?
Yeah, it's a sad situation. I just as a father of two young children, myself and the third on the way, like I can't fathom, like the thought of somebody like basically robbing my kids of their innocence, so to speak. So as a person, like I wouldn't know how to react in that situation. Yeah, it's like, oh, if somebody did that to my kid, I'll, do this and blah, 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 but you don't really know how you're going to react in that situation. And, I'm also somebody who, I don't really like guns. I'm afraid of them, like not, like I don't, it's just, I feel like it's like too much power in that, if you have one and stuff like that. It's just weird. Growing up where I grew up, I've never, held one. I'm kind of like, I'll stay away from those type of things. So I couldn't imagine just being in that situation where you could take somebody's life like that. And ultimately, yeah, I mean, granted, yeah, like, that person, was touching, like one of his young relatives, so you want to defend them. But, the law is the law, and unfortunately, we don't live in the Wild West where you can duel it out, like you have like a gun draw and stuff like that.
Right.
You have to go through the proper channels, and it's just sad that this escalated to this situation. Hopefully that the person that did this will never see the light of day, because I mean there's no place for that in this society. And I just like I just don't see how people can even think to do that. Like I what but there's a lot of these
Crazy
perverts
people.
and sick people out
Crazy
there
people.
that, like that, I
It,
don't know. This is
it
crazy. It's sad.
man, and honestly, I'll be honest, man. That's one of the reasons why I don't let my kids out, man. Back in the day, we'd be out in the streets, hanging out, and there wasn't a worry in the world that someone was going to snatch you up, right?
Hmm.
Or or do something stupid to you, right? I mean, I don't know if my parents ever had that concern. Obviously, growing up, we didn't have that. We played in the schoolyard, day in, day not, day out, and we'd be on our bikes going up and down, and we could take our bikes all the way to New York, man, over the GW Bridge, man, and nobody said anything.
Hmm.
And I wouldn't allow my kids to ride their bicycles around the neighborhood, man, right now because of
Yeah,
this crazy fear, man.
exactly. Yeah, it's funny that you meant, because like yeah, same thing with us. Like when we were younger, like, but things like my parents, like I grew up in Harlem in the 80s and 90s, so it wasn't not nice area to be in, so like with us, you know if we went to the park, like my grandmother had to be there. If we wanted to stay at a friend's house, that is not happening. Like that
Or
was like my mom was like, no, you're not doing that. Like the only time we would go do a sleepover is at my cousin's house, you know, and because that's my mom's sister, that's my aunt and stuff like that. That was the only time she allowed it. But friends, forget about it. Like like the only friends we had, was ourselves, like my brother, my sister,
mm,
and my cousins. That was it. Like we weren't really allowed to like do anything and stuff like
100%.
that. But yeah, I
Same
mean,
thing. No, the same thing with us, man. If we wanted to sleep over, my friends had to come to my house, right?
that makes
I,
sense. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, I mean, if I never slept over anybody's house, and if I slept over someone's house, it was my cousins,
exactly.
like
Yeah.
just like
Hmm.
you, right?
Hmm.
Because we weren't playing that because we don't know, you know, who those people are, right? Even if you know the friends and you might know the parents, you don't know who else is in the house and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I mean, we don't
exactly.
even now we don't play that game. Like, my kids ask, "Hey, can I go over to my friend's house?" No, you can't. They
Yeah.
come here, they
Hmm.
come here, but you can't. And it's sad that we kind of have to live in this world where we have to have that guard up and constantly, being cautious about that situation, and these type of things that happen in the world, right, in society, is a reason why. And so for me, I sympathize with Kane, or I understand the situation that he that presented itself. Obviously, I constantly say that if something like that ever happens, man, I'm killing the dude, right?
Hmm.
But that's just words, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Those are my feelings at those moments, and those are my initial thoughts. But what I actually do, and I just like Dana White said, is we all think about it. He's the one that did it, and justified. Absolutely. I think he's justified in doing that. But as far as there is a structure, there's a law structure, there's these processes that we have to go through, as limiting as they are, right? Sometimes, we wish that it could be like the wild, wild west where we could settle our differences, one-on-one, and, rather than kind of waiting for a system to make a decision. Obviously, sometimes the system doesn't necessarily make the best decisions, and it goes against what we feel. But at the end of the day, there is a system, and there's a system in place for a specific reason. And, we kind of I felt like, it would have been probably best to just try to have those emotions settle just a little bit, obviously, as painful as they may be, and go through the proper channels to get this resolved as best as possible, obviously. Personally, and Gil actually says it right now, instead of doing what he did and going to that level of extent and possibly putting other people in danger using a gun, approaching the dude and just
roughing him up.
roughing him up.
And I think that's the issue was that the person he shot at and hit wasn't the intended target. Yeah, exactly. The intended target.
Right. And I think that's what's the biggest factor into this whole issue, right? Is you put other people who are innocent in danger, right? You shot at a car with 3 people, you hit one of them who wasn't the person that you intended to do so. Now, where does that put you, right? If it was just him and maybe he hit the dude that was responsible, who knows? They may be talking a different tune. But now you kind of have to look at it from that perspective. But at the end of the day, you're Cain Velazquez. You're like 265 pounds, former heavyweight champion, skilled fighter. Why not go up to the dude, scare the crap out of him, beat his ass, right? And then try to take face the judge, at least knowing I just roughed him up, right? I mean, who knows? I know. I mean, obviously, with the system the way it is, they could have still probably put something on you, right? But at the end of the day, that probably would have been a better just to confront them and maybe taunt him to kind of like face you and stuff like that. But I can't. We can't say like that. If we wouldn't have done it differently, if that would have been what we would have done, because obviously we can't be put in that situation, and we don't understand.
I hope that we never get put in that situation.
Absolutely, and we don't understand the emotions that he was going through at that particular moment when he found out, and that led to his actions, right? I mean, we can never fully understand what he was managing or dealing with at that moment emotionally, right? But I mean, it sucks. There's obviously a fight for Cain to be free, because there's so many people who understand that he didn't do this. It wasn't like he turned criminal, right? It wasn't like he went to the dark side. Exactly. And all of a sudden, he becomes like this criminal. I mean, there was a specific reason, because when I first saw it come out and he's like, Cain got arrested and he's going to jail, right, for attempted murder. I was like, wait, what? What the hell was he doing? And then I read the story behind it, that he did this because of X, Y, and Z, right? Because someone molested his relative, and then in some reports they said even his daughter. I don't know what it is, but obviously someone who he cared about to do this was obviously molested. That I understood as a father, like as a father of 6, and you as a father of 2 and 1 on the way. I could understand that. I mean, because like you said, we would all have those feelings, like of jumping over the rail and beating that guy up. He obviously took it to another level, man. But the system is the system. But I do hope that the jury can empathize with Cain Velazquez and either give him a lesser sentence or something, man. Obviously, I don't think he's going to get off. I don't think he's going to go free. He's going to probably have to serve something. But thankfully, he didn't. Nobody was.
Thankfully,
killed. Nobody was killed. But yeah, he's going to have to serve, and hopefully, it's something that's manageable, and early parole and community service and all that stuff. Because obviously, he's a stand-up guy. In other circumstances, he probably would have never even thought to do something like this. But you got to put yourself in his shoes, in the shoes of a parent, a family member who cares about another one, who's defending innocence, man. Like, I don't know, man. It's a sensitive situation, but like Kane said, like Gil says, man, we got, free Kane. I do agree that he should be, that all of this should be considered. It shouldn't just be what he did. I mean, you should consider everything. Look at the whole picture as to what led to that, because he has no history of anything. It's not like John Jones. He has a history of being reckless, right? He, and you got to look at that and then make a decision based on all those factors. Obviously, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know. I don't have, how this things works, but as just a person who has some type of logic, I'd have to look at it from every single angle as to why he did this, and then look at this other dude, man, like this other filthy scum creep that's in, I don't even know where he's at. I think he's walking free right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think you might be right, actually. Yeah, that he might have. Which is crazy because he can do it to somebody else.
Right, exactly, right. So that's kind of like where people I think are twisted about, man. It's like we're blaming this guy for what he did, which is wrong. At the end of the day, it's wrong because it goes against the law. I'm not justifying, but this other dude is like walking free and he did this, and I don't know, man. It's just a mess, bro.
Yeah, it is, and like I said, like we said, thankfully nobody was killed, and hopefully, like I think, definitely, because if I was a lawyer, I would try to use that in my defense, but like, listen, like, it's a crime, I would say it's not a crime of passion, but like, I mean, like, you're trying to defend, like, you're young, our youth basically, and but
I mean, he obviously he lost his reason for a minute, let his emotions overcome, his rationale. And I think anybody would be in that situation, and Gil just put in the comments, like, you should use a moment of insanity, temporary insanity, because it was reactionary, and 100%, right? I mean, at that moment, you're not thinking straight. I mean, how many times in our lives something happens and immediately you just snap,
react,
right? You just react because you're not in full control of your emotions. And imagine something so impactful that
it's not so personal.
Exactly. So I obviously there's a lot to consider in that situation, and I really do hope that he comes out on the positive end. I mean, there's so much hype right now going, surrounding that, and I really think that he's a stand-up guy. Obviously, he's done a lot for the sport. Family man, even in the build-ups to some of his fights, you kind of see his family and stuff like that. And man, I could definitely understand the situation of why he would do this. I don't know if I could agree with the actions, but again, we weren't in that position, and hope, like you said, hopefully we'll never have to be in that. But we wish
whoever's watching,
anybody, exactly,
100%.
I wish we wish Kane the best. Obviously we're behind him. I'm definitely, pro free Kane. I'm hoping that things turn out for the best for him. But it is what it is. Hate to end on a negative note, man. Like, let's end on a positive.
Shout out to Gil, by the way. I mean,
Gil's been on fire with the comments this time, man. I'm glad that
appreciate it. Thank you.
Appreciate his feedback. Yeah, for sure, man. But yeah, man. So that's that. 1 hour and 40 minutes, man. This is like a real podcast today. Like, we got a lot to say. But definitely going to end on a positive note. So just a choke book, right? Just real quick. Came up with the choke book as a journal to help people retain the information. I mean, I know you've gone to class, I've gone to class, and the teacher goes through a whole bunch of different details. At the end of the class, you're like, wait, what did he teach? And you don't remember the details. So I actually journal a lot during my white belt days all the way up to black. I journal a lot, note take. I have like notebooks full of techniques that I've learned over the years, and I was like, man, I want to make this into a more formal book or notebook that people can benefit from. So that's the idea of behind it. I kind of put in a little bit twist because there's so many out there. I mean, you could find it, but I put the choke book together, and this is from Miguel. So the front of it, you can make it your own. You can put your name, your belt rank, the school that you're in. Right. And it is a journal. So it does have a lot of pages, not blank pages. There's an introduction. There's a section for you to write your jiu-jitsu goals. You can write your mental goals, your health goals, fitness goals. Right. And at the back, there's the gains, your mental gains, health gains, fitness gains. Did you hit your goals? And obviously, in between, there's a bunch of pages with date, location,
Yeah.
instructor, techniques. And the cool thing that, and this took a lot of effort, was to put a unique quote on each page, which will serve as a little motivator for you as you're writing your journal entry. You can read the quick jiu-jitsu quotes. Most of them are jiu-jitsu quotes. Some of them are just inspirational quotes by other athletes. I even threw some tidbits that I've recorded over the years saying, and but yeah, there's 120 pages for you to write, 120 quotes for you to be inspired, and you make this yours, like your journey, right? All it is just a canvas for you to paint your own picture and record it and keep a database of techniques. So I highly recommend you pick one up. They're available on Amazon. They've made it all the way to the UK, which is awesome. I shout out to the brothers out in grappling with life podcast. I call them the GWL podcast because that's what I see on their handle. The Grappling with Life podcast, Legion Grappling, Khalid, I think it's Khalid Martial Arts or Khalid Academy there, Inglorious Grapplers, all those guys out there. Shout out to them who basically picked up the choke book and made it international. I really appreciate their love, and everybody else who's been basically buying it, man. It's awesome to kind of see people saying that they got it, they picked it up. I hope you guys use it and fill it up. Another cool thing that I added, there's a little blank bar here, and it says volume number. It's for you to fill in your volume. So your volume 1, volume 2, volume 3. Nice. Keep on collecting that and make that your encyclopedia. And I started using it myself, writing the techniques that I teach, just to keep a log of what I'm doing to kind of see how I'm organizing my classes and help with the curriculum building. So even if you're a black belt, you can still use it. And obviously we're all students of the game, so it doesn't really matter. So there's always something to contribute and write in it. So that's it, man. That was a little plug, shameless plug.
Right? Well, I bought one in my I actually bought two, one for me and my line brother who just started his jiu-jitsu journey at Capital. So definitely it's worth it,
Yeah.
Because like I said, there's like always like little details that I always forget, and then I end up in bad positions and now my neck hurts, So.
Exactly. And people argue like, well, I'll just record with my phone. Here's the reason why I don't agree with recording it on your phone. Number one, when you record, and I've done both. When you record it on your phone, it's on your phone. You can watch it. Yeah, of course, you can watch it. Obviously, that is a good method to do. But the problem with that is most times it's going to stay on your phone, or maybe you upload it to the cloud, right? Dropbox or whatever it is, and it sits there. You have to physically go back, and then the way that the videos are recorded, right? They're labeled. It's all these series of numbers, right? With the date at the end. You have no idea what it is until you watch it and rename it. Are you going to rename it? Are you going to upload it, categorize it? Obviously, for you to be able to, go back and refer to it, you have to find the system that's going to help you just pull that file back up and open it and watch it either on your phone or your computer or whatever it is. That's great to do. Obviously, that I've done that too, and I have tons of videos that on my computer that of techniques that I've recorded over the years. The reason why I like writing is that it actually forces your brain to work, right? When I record, it's the machine doing the work. Boom, you upload it, done. I'm not really using my brain. With journaling, you actually have to physically write it down. You have to think back at the techniques, the details, the things that matter to you, and you write that down. It forces your brain to work, right? And when you're starting to constantly remember those, multiple times in that situation, whether it's during class or after class, or when you go home and you want to do a brain dump, it actually stores it into longer term memory, and longer term memory translates into muscle memory. So I think that's the reason why I would prefer to note take, right? Even if it takes you 10-15 minutes to write down the techniques, it's better for your retention, your information retention, versus you recording it on your phone and it just going up to a cloud and it's sitting there. Right? That's just me. That's just my experience. Who knows? What do I know? I've just been training for 12 years.
So yeah.
I've just been training for 12 years with a black belt, and who knows? What do I know? Yeah. I think I'm not saying I'm biased. I mean, there's so many people that journaled. I'll tell you one guy, Mike Fowler. It's probably from him is really the reason why I do it. Went to a seminar with Mike Fowler one time because he used to be with Team Lloyd Irving back in the day, so he would come around a lot when I was in Crazy 88.
Mm-hmm.
And he mentioned that one of the ways that he got so good so fast, I think he has black belt in like less than 4 years, was because he would write things down and he would actually draw. He's artistically, he's very good. I mean, he draws really well. So he would draw the techniques in the book and write the notes down. And I was like, let me try that out. And I started doing it, and I can see me progress much faster. You know what I'm saying? So I highly advise it. I think it's a benefit. You guys, you tell me otherwise, but I believe that it will be. So I'm glad you picked one up. I'm glad that you picked one up for your LB, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So with that said, Abner, yeah, shout out to Abner. We're shouting out Abner.
Para siempre.
Oh, there we go. Oh, I didn't notice that. Yeah, Abner, para siempre, brother. Yeah, man. He's always supporting and stuff too, man. So, but yeah, with that said, let's end it. Longer than usual, but I liked it. I like the fact that we got to kind of catch up. We're gonna go back to our regular schedule every 2 weeks. We'll be releasing one. We have a couple changes that we'll be making, but we'll make those announcements on Instagram. A little facelift, no logo, a little facelift, and kind of switching things up a little bit. But we'll announce that on
Botox,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, man. So with that said, Fernando, last 10, 15 seconds. Anything you want to say?
Yeah. Once again, shout out to Gil and Abner for watching. To anybody who else is watching too in the in YouTube, and thank you so much for we really appreciate the support. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. The more we do that, the more our platform grows, and then we can reach a larger audience. So we really would appreciate that as well. Shout out to my wife. Kat, love you. I'll be home. Well, she's at her parents' house, but I'll be over there soon. After the podcast and stuff like that. I know we got a lot of stuff coming up with the baby coming and things like that. So,
man.
With that being said, anybody out there, train, have fun. Also, shout out Anthony too, my chapter brother Uno, for doing something that a lot of people, myself included, have not done, and that's compete. So, really proud of you, bro. That really inspired me, man. I really appreciate seeing you out there, doing your thing, man. So.
Absolutely, and congratulations, Fernando and Kat, on the upcoming baby. I wish you guys the best. We'll definitely be back in 2 weeks with a new topic, hopefully with a special guest. Until then, keep training. Train hard, train smart, pick up the choke book, record it down, and keep on training, man. And we'll be back in 2 weeks, man. So with that said, para siempre, see you guys. Us.